evening to all of you. We're going to get our meeting started. So I want to call our meeting to order and welcome all of you to tonight's general meeting on August 30th here at Illinois Recreation. We have the agenda as follows. The council acceptance of the agenda, rules of order, follow-up from the general meeting of May 24th, presentation from the IFN youth participants, update on the Diesel Dundee land claim, presentation as well on council orientation. We'll do introductions before all of that of members of council and portfolio. We'll entertain business from the floor, and then we'll do resolution and make announcements. So I'm going to move the introduction to council before the right after the follow-up from the last meeting. Could I have a motion to accept the agenda? Moved by Joe, seconded by Connie. All in favor? Okay, so I want to welcome all of you to our first general meeting of the 2018-2021 council. This is our first general meeting that we're hosting this evening, so I want to thank all of you for coming out. I will read through the rules of order for tonight's general meeting. So the general meeting is an opportunity to share information with the membership about council business and files. Our meetings will start at 6 p.m. and go until approximately 8 p.m. If the discussion goes longer than 8 p.m., we may extend the end time. Personal issues will not be dealt with in this forum. This is a public forum. Any personal issues will be dealt with on an ongoing basis, whether between myself or council members, or we can set up a meeting through our office to discuss those issues. We ask that you please raise your hand, and I will make a list. Please wait to be acknowledged by myself before speaking. We ask that you please keep your speaking points relevant to the discussion item. So if there's other items you want to talk about, there is business on the floor, and that's when we open the floor up to talk about items at large. As well, if there are any items that can't be addressed at tonight's meeting, we'll make a list of them and report them back at next month's general meeting. As well, our council meetings are recorded, so you'll see the cameras at each end. These cameras are on council only. We ask that when you do ask questions or refer to people within the MCA that do not use names specifically because of the recording that are happening. And this is to share the information that we present tonight with the community at large as well. So that is our rules of order for tonight's general meeting. As well, in the past, we have adopted a meeting cancellation protocol in the case of an unfortunate death of a community member who passes in one of 3 districts. If the general meeting is occurring during that time, either the wake of the funeral, the general meeting location will change. It will continue as scheduled with the location change if that member family or that member moves from that district. So we'll continue with that cancellation protocol. In the past, we've had general meetings move around quite often. We're canceled, rescheduled. We really want to keep a set date to have the general meeting. These are an opportunity for you to hear information from council, an opportunity for you to dialogue with council, and if you don't keep them consistent, it becomes a bit challenging. So at the same time, we do want to ask for a moment of silence for those members that we have lost since our last general meeting. We will observe a moment of silence at this time in respect of those who we have lost. All right, thank you. On behalf of myself and our council extends our deepest condolences to all those affected by grief over the last couple of months. So, as I said, we'll go through the agenda. We do have follow-up items from the last general meeting of May 24th that we want to report back, at least from the administration end or any follow-up that is needed. There are packages that were distributed, I believe they're on the table over here, of the agenda, of the presentation. There is a screen over here to my right that has the agenda, has the presentations as well, but there are handouts over on the table back, as well as there's a number of handouts on that table for the presentation around Dundee land and some information for that referendum and the plan itself. So just, there are 4 follow-up items from the May 24th, general meeting. And one is the funding for sidewalks reference the information provided by the tri-district elders. The portfolio was to follow up on that. Next to the portfolio at the time, I believe, was Chief Thompson. Is there an update on that?
As of right now, the sidewalks that are in question with the tri-district elders is being still looked at, and we're still getting more data, planning, and see where that goes, and then we can start gathering numbers and what all the monies are needed to implement these sidewalks. And actually, where would they be located? It's beneficial for the elders to have sidewalks.
All right, so the other follow-up item was, is are you going to build up the roads to withstand heavy equipment and trucks coming in through this? Construction happening there, or an update on that?
Yeah, well, right now, we're building the roads to standards as to MTO. And what needs to happen in that area is, come springtime, if the roads start deteriorating, that the load restrictions should be respected during springtime. That means if your MTO is telling our trucking companies to haul only half loads in the spring, then they should be hauling only half loads in the spring, especially when it pertains to our loads, especially in the wetland areas or going over wetland areas.
It's noted that there needs to include the future wastewater infrastructure.
The project's underway. There's a monthly meeting scheduled for the wastewater treatment reconstruction down Snide. It's going to be ongoing. It's going to go well past the fall months. Some adjustments had to be made. That's why there was a delay in the project. But now the project's been tendered, the contract's been signed, and everything's progressed.
Thank you. So there was another question with regards to follow-up on Nutfield track. So in the packages that we have distributed, there is a map in there. We do have a presentation tonight from the Average Research Office. If there are questions, you can field them at that time. So that's the follow-up items from the last general meeting. I do now want to take an opportunity to go down the table to introduce our members of council to the community. And I do want to ask the members of council to identify their portfolios in which they have selected and which they will be advocating and working on with the council for the next 3 years. So I'll start at my very far left with Thompson.
Chief Tim Thompson, Ganadago. I have selected the Department of Community and Social Services as my portfolio. Along with that, I will take on Government Secretariat. Along with that, there are a number of committees that council members are on, and I have selected the Cannabis Committee, the Property Acquisition Team Committee, and the Youth Elders Cultural Language Committee.
Edward Roundpoint, District of Gowanoga, and the portfolios that I selected are Devil Economic Development, and Government Secretariat. The committees that I sit on are Akwesasne, Finance Committee, the Property Acquisition Team, and the Port Divestiture.
I'm Vince Thompson, Gowanoga District Chief. I'm still taking on the portfolios of DTS, Housing, and Self-Government, that's Nation Building, and I'm also going to be sitting on numerous committees, being the PAT team, it's the Property Acquisition Team, Port Divestiture, and I'm also going to be sitting on a minor for public safety, is because the customs situation is government is concerned.
Teresa Jacobs, Ganadago District. My portfolios I selected are for Department of Tech Services, Executive Services, Deho Walker, and the Property Acquisition Team is what I would like to be involved in with our committee. That's it. What would you want to know?
Reverend Francis, Goanoga District. I've selected AMBE and BCXS as my portfolios. And for the committees, I selected Akwesasne, the Recreational Cannabis, the Governance Committee, Green Team Committee, and also the Youth Elders, Culture and Language. I'm Julie Coach Jacobs from Goanoga. I selected the Akwesasne Board of Education, the Department of Social Services, the Department of Justice. I'm also participating in the committees, Finance Committee, the Governance Committee, and the Green Team.
Environment. Also committees, I sit on the Green Team, OBS, Youth Council, and I sit on the Language Act. I vote.
I go Chief County Authority Planning District. This term I chose or kept my portfolio for justice. I've added public safety and executive services. I will carry committees on governance, finance, and the cannabis.
Sego, Chief Abrams, assignment. I have selected health this term for my portfolio, along with government secretariat and environment. My committees are the cannabis committee, the elder language and culture, property acquisition, and the Octane committee.
Chief Darrell Sword and Audible. I chose staying on the housing portfolio this year with public safety, and I jumped on the finance committee and the OBS committee.
Senator individual, the Sinai District. I selected Department of Health, Environment, and Delivery, or Nation Building as my portfolios. And the committees that I'll be sitting on, the Cannabis Committee, the Akwesasne Green Team, the Finance Committee, as well as the Youth Elders, Culture, and Language Committee.
Thank you. And this evening, I forgot to announce that Chief Dennis Josie from Goanoga District is away on appointment, a medical appointment this evening. So this is our 2018-2021 council. I want to thank all of you for providing that information to the community. And as we move forward, the last 2 months we have been going through a bit of an orientation. We have a presentation later tonight about the work, the orientation schedule in which we have undertaken. And then going forward, we'll do some strategic planning that will align with the CCP and other documents that we have that identify some priorities over the next 3 years. Thank you very much. And as for myself, Abram Bennett, Grand Chief, I don't have a portfolio. My role is to work with all of these members of council to ensure that we're meeting the needs and objectives of our community as a whole. We are one team that works together. The portfolios are each person's area that they're identified to concentrate specifically on, but they all are expected to work together to ensure that we're meeting those objectives. All right, so this evening our first presentation is from the IFN, from a group of you who attended the IFN 5th Annual Youth Conference. And before we go to that,
is there going to be a list for us to, I think you did it before.
for the portfolio?
Yeah, the portfolios,
Yeah.
and we need your phone numbers.
Okay. We'll, the list is actually in the packages we have, but we will make sure they go into the newsletter that goes out as well with contact information.
Okay.
Tim Thompson has been assisting with the IFN Youth for the last couple of years. I'll turn to you to give a bit of an introduction, and then we'll turn it over to the youth who are here to present to you.
The IFN, Akwesasne is part of the IFN. It's the Independent First Nations in Ontario, and there are 12 communities that are independent. Every year they do a call out for participants at their youth conference, and Akwesasne has had a number of our youth, young adults attend, and this year we had 5 selected. 5 of them were selected, and part of their presentation is to talk about the culture camp that was held in the Sagin community.
Okay. So there is a presentation that they have on the screen here. It is also in the packages for you. I do want to turn it over to you. I want you to introduce yourself, and then we'll go through your presentation.
All right, my name is Edwards. I was one of the delegates that went to Sagin and Nawashiming. I think that's how you say it. No, I'll try it better. Solid. And I'm on the Independent First Nations Youth Working Group as well as the Olympian YPC.
Secretary of Venezuela, I'm Haley, I'm from Ireland. I was chosen to as one of the youth representatives this year again. This is my second time going to IFN, and it was just a really great experience, and we'll get more into it on our side. This is my 4th conference with Independent First Nation, and can't wait to get started. This is my 2nd conference.
Hi, I'm Debbie Delarmy. This is my first time.
Today we're going to be doing a brief presentation about the 5th annual Independent First Nation Conference about determining our future. Now, just a brief synopsis of what that actually was to encourage and to engage youth voices in entrepreneurship within First Nation communities. I believe we can begin with the first slide, or the 5th, or the 7th.
So as like Moody here said, we were in Ojibwe territory, Sagin and Nawashiming, and it is 2.5 hours from the airport in Toronto, and it's in the Bruce Peninsula, right on the Huron, crossing the 2 islands. There's a little map there. And I just wanted to give Delina an opportunity to speak about her first experience before we get started with the session.
This is my first conference, and this is my first conference. I had a really fun time. It taught me a lot about entrepreneurs, small businesses.
So like we were saying, it was all about entrepreneurship and centering around entrepreneurship and small businesses. So these were the middle is Kendall Netmaker. He was our keynote speaker, and he was the co-founder and CEO, or no, the founder and the CEO of his own company called Nietzsche Gear. And he was an underprivileged child, and he grew up and was very successful. He had his own business, and he was just given an opportunity, and he went with it. And now he has his own company, and a lot of his proceeds go to Kids Sport, which helps underprivileged kids and families financially with sports that they'd like to play after school if they can't necessarily afford it. And with that upcoming, he has a book coming out called Driven to Succeed. So that's something we'll be on the lookout for, and he has a website, and that is Nietzsche Gear. And he's from the Sweetgrass First Nation in Saskatchewan. And the 2 women beside him were mentors in one of our group activities. The girl on the left is from 6 Nations. Her name is Dakota Grant. I'll get more information on her. And on the right is Sunshine Quem, is her name, Quem. So next slide, please. So Dakota Grant, she runs a business
her sister. She's a twin. She was Miss Indian World in 2010. So her company is called Sapling and Flint, and they make their own jewelry, apparel, men's and women's. They have, so they have a website they have up and running. They used to use a distributor out of Toronto, and now they took it a step further, and they have their own machines where they're able to handcraft right on site now. So she was an awesome mentor for us and let us know like how she got started and stuff like that. Next slide, please. And this is Gwen Sunshine Casco. She is the founder of Her Brains. And that is, well, Carrie's right hers here. She makes pendants and she sells them. And 10% of her profits go to Blue Dot Movement, which is it's a foundation created by David Suzuki and helps First Nations get clean water. So that's where 10% of her proceeds go to. And her first business venture actually was Quennies, which was a baby moccasins. She started making baby moccasins, and she went on to CBC's television show Dragon's Den, which is all about entrepreneurship. And she actually got $20,000 from them. And she started a little company. And then with that, she made her own version of it for Aboriginal people called Powwow Pitch, which is where they give 30 entrepreneurs a portfolio, and they pick 30 of them at a powwow, and they each get 1 minute to pitch, and then they narrow it down to 10 people who get 3 minutes, and then they do cash prizes for first, second, and third. So she kind of took Dragon's Den and made it more for Aboriginal people and to give entrepreneurs a good head start and stuff like that. They did that at the Adala Powwow, the summer solstice. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so they were both at our conference, and they were both mentors in some group activities that we'll explain a little more later.
Okay, so we were able to take a small trip when we were in Sambo. We went around to 2 small businesses. One was, he was a small fisherman, and first off, he only started fishing because his father, that's what he did, and he was to follow in the family tradition. And as he was doing his process of frying and smoking fish, the government told him to stop. He wasn't able to do it because he did not have the right equipment for food. He needed special tables with it, metal food grade tables. He needed a separate housing or separate building to bring all his fish, process his fish, and he had to have it in labels and small bags just to be safe and have to follow Ontario's Food Canada laws. And he also gave us a small gift of trout. I mean, that was really good. And the second one was a sugar shack in Popsworth. The young man and his brother run one small sugar shack on the downtown as construction workers. It was just kind of a small hobby for them. They only had, I think, 500 hats to begin with, and I think they're at 5,000. But I guess last year's sales, they sold over 150 gallons. He also does the Aqua, which he sells at the local gas station. It was also another side business. Him and his brother really got into it, so they sell it every weekend. They make a big batch and sell to it week.
So IFN is the Independent First Nation, and what they do is every year they hold a conference, and they choose youth delegates that are Mohawk and are Iroquois and Anishinaabe, and from the ages 18 to 29, within the 11 IFN communities. This is actually, I was selected, this is my second year going, but every year they choose a different topic. One year I had gone, we did mental health, first aid. One year they did safe talk. Yeah, they just try to make sure you walk away with some sort of certification after each conference, and this one will be around business planning and business canvassing and entrepreneurship. Although we aren't all geared towards business like majors for school, but they gave us a good case of entrepreneurship and getting our minds wrapped around and opening small businesses and how small businesses support the community. This year there was around 50 delegates altogether, and that's a big picture. So what they did this year is they separated us into 4 groups. They did black, white, red, and yellow, like the medicine wheel colors. And we all broke up into teams. We were there for the week and we had 3 days to develop a business proposal. Like full on, this is our business, how we're gonna get this off the ground, how much money we need to get it going, how will we be successful, what will make our business different than others and within a First Nations community. So we all broke up into our groups, which was about, I don't know, about 12 of us in a group, and we work on it for the whole morning session, like 2-3 hours. Then we go to lunch and we would break, and we would do some sort of team building activity, and we'd come back in our groups and we would all work together. The hardest part for, I would think, of taking your business is all agreeing upon one business proposal, which was really tough because a lot of everyone that is at this conference are all national leaders in our community, so then you have 12 brilliant ideas all trying to compete with each other what we're all going to agree upon. I think the 3rd day in, we finally we're on the same team. So there was 4 groups, so we actually were all on our own team. Me, Elaine, we were team red, yellow, black, and white. Yeah. So we had they separate all the Akwesasne delegates. So it was funny. It was like a healthy rival. Like we're gonna beat you like all week. But so that's what they did. They broke us up. And the next slide. So we developed real budgets and real business proposals. And me and Languni's team, we chose to go with a transportation. We chose a scooter business. What they each had to do is not only did you have to choose just any business that you're going to implement into a community, you have to solve a social issue. So we chose transportation and a scooter business. Your group?
Greenhouse, and I actually won the location on that team.
Mine was food boxes in isolated areas.
Mine was greenhouses. So we all worked together and we broke up into more teams inside our own team of 12, and we developed on every little step of the way, what would you need to get your business going, how much a building would cost, what your light bill for the month, your worker income that you would pay all your workers. And so once you formulated an idea and a proposal, the mentors would come around with the girls who own their own businesses, and they would tell you, you know what, that doesn't really work, or maybe we should try this different. And it really engaged everybody to come together as a team and just start to try to actually, this was your business. We felt like this was our business, and we're gonna win. Yeah. So we were all super competitive, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. But we're gonna get into our own. Okay, so this is just a quick list of all the people that we met, and yeah, it just one of these conferences was really, really beneficial. I feel is you get connections with other people from other communities. You see what issues are of importance in other communities, what we have here. You become super grateful for the things that we do have in Akwesasne. We're super lucky to have all the things that we do here. And then just the same business ideas, because we knew some business ideas wouldn't work and others, like our scooter idea, we pitched it on Waffle Island. And whenever we said, well, could it work in Akwesasne? And we said, well, all the border, that would never, we would be really tough. It would be really tough to get it going. But meeting people from other communities, working with other youth, and having similar ideas, working with leadership, team building, and having those connections that were friends forever. It's like a little IFN family, once you keep flying as the years go on. But yeah, that was the main idea of the conference that we worked on the most, was the business proposals and budgeting.
So we talked about a lot about the grind of the actual working, the proposal writing, all these things. However, there were actually a lot of interesting presentations, fun activities, and some interesting stories to share. Right now, you're going to be seeing Lamar. I'm sorry, I'm not going to attempt his last name. My apologies. And he showed us, he's the kind of guy who has traveled across Turtle Island and beyond, kind of learning about traditional games. And I believe he's got 320 games underneath his belt that he knows, and he can, he's got a great big box of fun things to share with us. One of the things, some highlights, was a test of strength games. For the example, rope games. They're pretty simple. Like one was an example of one-handed, basically tug of war, line. You're trying to outmuscle your opponent, right? One is you use your neck. You faced off, you got on your hands and knees, and you try to do it. For real, it was fun. And oh yeah, there was a team woman. I wasn't there. Who was there for that?
I won the championship in that one. It's like the opposite of tug of war. Instead of pulling, you're pushing, and there's a log with a rope in the middle. So you got to get your over their pylon. So we're all pushing a huge log.
They hold a log and we all push against each other to pass the line. They're just like old school games.
Yeah. So as you can tell, a lot of fun, a lot of smiles today. Next we talked about was open. So he taught us about test of skill and of course test of pain. The skilled one was about as simple as it can be. It's about grabbing a spear. He would unannouncedly hold two little round circles, and then suddenly he would whip them across the room, and he'd have to try to spear through, and nobody got it, It was a lot of fun, He'd just do it out of nowhere, he'd try to talk with you, then you whip them out, and, the people had to get it. It was a lot of fun. One story I want to talk about was the test of pain that I personally went through, which was terrible. As we go up, he says, all right, here's some volunteers. I go up there, I walk up, and this whole time it's like a test of strength, fun, your competition. So I thought it was gonna be a fun thing. So he introduces it. It's like this. Now we're gonna be in a test of pain, right? And of course, my smile went immediately down, and I'm looking at him and say, all right, get into a push-up. So I'm thinking we're doing enough push-ups till you wear out. That's fine. He says, get on your knuckles. I've done boxing push-ups, that's fine. He said, now hop on your knuckles from here and back. Now, it was hard, it's actually floor like this. So you can imagine just going through, and of course, it was really awesome. He's an older guy, but he did it with us, He led the whole thing, right? So we did that, and I tried getting up. He's like, "It didn't count. You had to go back." And I'm like, "You didn't say that." It was just a whole lot of fun. But the whole point of it is that each one of these games, they teach a life lesson. They kind of, for the knuckles ones, to show that you can endure pain in life. And of course, passing down for generations. It's all about teaching. Of course, the skills. He's showing us that, you also have to throw that spear ambidextrous. So if you ever get hurt in one arm, you still got to eat. You got to put on the other, right? And of course, test of strength is test of strength. Next slide, please. So the team pursuits was briefly talked about, but I'll kind of go into detail. They had 3 high-octane, fun little activities with the groups that we had just mentioned. Thank you, solid. And and I know how they talked about it was red, white, and black and yellow, but those teams were also further divided into micro teams, so it was a lot more competition. But red team would still win, or blue team, or black team would still win. Yeah, and of course I'm wearing one of the medals that I won.
I have my 2 at home.
Oh no, she's just like, which one did I leave in this box? But it was a lot of fun stuff. You had to kind of take photos and take videos of series of challenges, upload them to gain points. It was a lot of fun. There was one exception where there was a murder mystery kind of fun event where it was more about thinking, problem solving, reviewing police reports, evidence, coroner reports, and YouTube testimonials, We're trying to figure out who's the murderer, And it was just like a whole lot of fun. Now that picture below, I just want to briefly share a story. One of those team activities was something called acts of kindness. Now the whole point of that is that we're running around, videoing or taking a photo of us doing nice, heartfelt things for people on video. And there was one where, as a joke, because we're talking about the popcorn. They gave us a big black garbage bag of popcorn, right? Yeah, 2 big bags, like taller than I, bags of popcorn, and we're like, see if you can give this to people. Like it's not, it's like all kind of ripped anyway, you know, it's kind of looking kind of weird, right? But we're like, okay, we took the challenge, and at first we're having a lot of difficulty, you know, talking to people that are just like, no, we don't want it. But then a flock of kids, you know, they showed up and they're like, is that popcorn? They're like, yeah, we started like whipping popcorn at kids, and they're like, oh my God, I want one, you know? And it was like a moment where we didn't record it because it was just like we just wanted to, and that was like one of those heartfelt moments that I had. It was like a true act of kindness. We fed a bunch of children popcorn.
Oh, that was the main purpose. A lot of all these activities was the team building, team bonding within our groups.
Yeah.
So this is one of our business pilots. This was This was my group, Blue Black. We did, it was a mobile food truck kind of deal. There was a problem within my group, and there was a few from Octane Island, also known as Bear Island. It's 3 hours from North Bay, and people would travel twice a week, and it would cost them an extreme amount of money. So we decided, well, if we could bring food to them in like a refrigerated box of some sort, because when we would do and order food, a lot of the food would spoil or like rotten when they got home. So we decided to kind of like buy a truck, and this is what our plan was, to buy refrigerated bags and just like make orders, and we would go and pick them up and get them to that person in the same day. It was just people would go half the day, they would take off work, go all day shopping, and come home, and the food wasn't always the freshest, so it was always melted. And they said they would spend up to $600, $700 a week going shopping for food, groceries. And so we came up with the idea of doing a bi-weekly food truck, bringing up their boxes of food, other needed items such as like sanitary and diaper. I think we had a diaper box, I think it was. And we came together and we pitched it to the panel of judges, and at the end we had a Q&A with the judges and some of the audience members. Yeah, this is our board. This is our issue and the name of our company. This is Student Season, and we placed second within the little group.
That scooter business that we had just briefly mentioned about, it was called First Nation Transportation. Again, it was like a scooter business that had a series of little charging networks that allowed people to rent out little scooters, electric scooters, mind you. Have people to be paid to pick these scooters up. They had like little charging stations across Wapu Island. We also thought about, the tourism aspect and why we think that would be a good thing. And of course, we agreed this would be a seasonal thing, because obviously scooters in the wintertime I don't think would work. But of course, yes, we chose transportation as one of the main issues that we found, because a lot of the people in our team were from Wapu Island. And they said the number one thing that was a problem was people have a hard time getting to places, And we wanted to find a cheap form of transportation that wouldn't break anybody's bank, but wasn't too inconvenient for people to actually rent out to get access to. So the scooter business was perfect. One quick, I just want to kind of give like a extended hand, appreciation for, we had to work on this until I think 5:30 in the morning, in which the pitch was the very morning, the very next day around 10 o'clock. So I made the joke that we said, we're not going to sleep, we're taking a nap before we go to sleep. You know what I mean? Because we had to really work really hard.
Really, really hard.
Yeah, and again, it was a really inspiring kind of day that, pushed through something like that. So again, just to briefly talk about it, it was definitely like a Dragon's Den / Shark Tank kind of thing, where we all get up, we all had to nail our pitches, you know, and of course to a panel of judges who were eager to write down anything.
And a gym full of people.
And a gym full of people, and at the end of it was a Q&A for which it was open to the judges and then to the community watching below. It was a fun time.
And me and Lambooni's team, we won first place, Breath of Akwesasne.
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah. First Nation Transportation won. And of course, the catchphrase I had to memorize 100 times was, when you think transportation, think First Nation Transportation. That's right. On the spot. Great. Next slide. Oh, that's it?
Also, the 6th annual youth conference will be hosted by Octane.
They also had a lot of cultural things like throughout the day to do. Me, my sister, and my cousin, we all made our first ribbon skirts one day. They had like a 3-hour workshop. They had beading workshops. They had black ash making workshops. So it was really nice to see that they opened it up to the community, and the community members would come in and they would share their expertise with a lot of the youth, and we got to learn a bunch of different talents.
Yeah, we had a welcoming ceremony with an elder from the community. We got to, you know, smudge, and they sang us some songs, and we had a carnival one night after all that. We had a lot of the local, like, people that are known for their work and people that are good entrepreneurs. Like, they made sure they made them a part of our conference. We weren't just using their territory for a place to hold a conference. We really engaged with the whole community there. We got to meet a lot of awesome people.
It's gorgeous there. If anyone's been to Cape Croker and the bluff and Salvo Beach.
Yeah, we went hiking.
Yeah,
So that's it for our presentation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to these dynamic youth. These are upcoming leaders of our community. I want to thank you, council and community, for providing us with an update on the presentation on the Independent First Nation Youth Council conference that you were able to participate in. As they mentioned, the next one will be hosted here in Akwesasne, so we'll be looking to our youth council members as well to work with our administration to make that happen here in the community. As that rolls out, we will keep you informed. Okay, so I want to now turn to our next presentation. I do want to welcome Philip Whitetree from the Aboriginal Rights Research Office, who is here to provide you with an overview of the Dunedin land claim. There's also a few technicians here as well to assist him, because we have now officially called for a referendum on this claim. So without further ado, I will turn it over to you, Phil, to go through the presentation.
Whitetree, and the research office. I'm a researcher in that office on the council. I'm here to present on the Jigglesties Dundee claim. We have a brief overview of the Jigglesties Dundee claim. So the information contained within the PowerPoint is for the sole purpose of educating Mohawk of Akwesasne. This is without prejudice to any past, current, or future claims that we may have. So Jigglesties is for the area where the metal chains have been dragged, referring to the early 1800s in the most eastern part of the community. It's basically middle of Sky east into what is now known as the township of Dundee. Historically, it was approximately 20,000 acres of land that on the earliest maps show lands reserved for Indians of the St. Regis, and it has always been known as that until 1888. So historically, the land has always been set aside and recognized as part of us. So here we have everything within the plain area on the mainland, and the overlap of what is currently reserved lands today, which is the most eastern part of the district, which is China. We basically went to we filed on this land claims process. We held Canada responsible for loss and use of those lands, and filed for all 20,000 acres. We know that part of it has been bought back by the community between 1888 and 1953, and piece by piece at good rates. And we had negotiations stop and start multiple times, and it wasn't until 2000s to 2012, that we had meaningful negotiations, and both parties agreed on the issues. Canada returned in 2015 with a settlement offer. Settlement offer in 2012 is a compensation of $239,808,436 from the government of Canada for a full and final settlement of the 1966 claim, and also the ability to purchase and add to the additions to your process up to 18,282 acres of land with no time limits on acquiring those lands. And the ongoing community discussions that we've had between the months of February to May, and as well as this month of August, will continue from the community's perspective what they expect to do with the funds and the lands. So this will be an ongoing discussion throughout the process, especially with the new council, with community members in all parties. The offer would effectively end all grievances of the Akwesasne Courts Canada in respect to lands in Dundee, and would operate as a full release to Canada for those damages contemplated within the Dundee claim. So that's what Canada is looking for, and this is what they're operating in right now. So the negotiations have ended. We do have a final settlement document. Final settlement agreement document is available for all members. In the back, there are copies of the initial document, as well as Schedule 10, which is the voting regulations of referendum.
Is that money, is that the first offer or the only offer? Or?
Basically, the negotiation parties came together, said these are the issues. Canada went back to their process, came back and said, here it is. And it's potentially its only negotiation component. If we accept or decline, if we decline, then we would have to prove it in court, possibly line by line in every aspect that we just brought forward to so far. So this is Canada's offer, and as technicians with legal counsel and our financial advisor and the council's discussions, we feel that this is an adequate amount for what is being offered, and is ultimately the best way to get lands back to the community's hands and jurisdiction.
What's your first offer? It's Canada's first offer?
Basically, yes. Abram is the negotiator for this claim. So Abram mentioned. So if you wanted to have further discussions as to exactly how the negotiations occurred, he's the person as well as all the council.
I didn't single-handedly do this. I'm designated as the lead negotiator, but
it is 30 years in the making to get it to this point, and I believe last counted we said it was 10 councils that have been part of this process. So Abram is the one that towards the finish end of the baton has been passed in.
So we'll go find the last 13 councils and we'll figure this out.
Yeah, this is a buyout, get-out system, right, that the government wants you to do, more or less. You get the money, you buy, and you buy out the white people and tell them to get out, right? More or less, if they're willing to sell.
So willing buyer, willing seller scenario, and that's what was negotiated, that was understood, that here's the monies. Now, in 1888, the community did accept compensation from a surrender that we've always felt had wronged the community, and we used that to buy back the land, starting then all the way to 1953. So the most eastern part of Sny has been bought back piece by piece, and this is a way that we ultimately feel is the best scenario to get lands back into our jurisdiction.
So this claim, you're saying the same thing. We're giving you $239 million, and now you can buy out people living there, if they're willing to sell. What happens if they don't want to sell?
There's no limits. The area of Dundee consists of 20,000 acres. The area that is contemplated of selection within the final settlement agreement is much larger, includes areas in both Ontario and Quebec. So we're not limited to one area, and we can continue buying up to 18,200 and some odd acres.
Now, how much land are you talking about in Quebec? Out of the 18 or 20,000 acres, how much is in Ontario? Very little.
It's a vast
Now,
Schedule 3 of the.
now what that does in Quebec is it expands Reservation 15, right?
Potentially, yes.
It's all-
Once it goes through the additions reserve process.
See, my concern is a lot of times we have issues with Cornwall Island, the Ontario part portion of this reserve. When it comes to decision making, we're outvoted all the time when it comes to a decision on gas line or anything on the island. And I know on the Indian Act, it states in there that you're allowed a chief for every I think 100 members, you're allowed a chief. So you can extend to the Indian Act a council of 12. But Cornwall Island, actually, if you think about it, being Reservation 59, they have an opportunity to actually have 8 chiefs to even out the field. So when decision making comes, that we don't have just 4 chiefs, and you have 8 in a big land base. So I'm just afraid that when it comes to decisions, we're going to get overrid all the time, and everything's going to be just concentrating on Reserve 15. You know?
2 components. One is the community is not governed under the Indian Act rules of council. The community has a customary act that controls
I don't believe that.
Second part is that this agreement is a question that all members of the Mohawks of Akwesasne could have a voice on, and ultimately it's up to the majority of the community members to decide whether they accept or decline the current settlement offer.
Well, we've been in different situations, the neighbor knows this, and the chief and council knows that the customary act or customary law that we practice on the reserve is verbally sounds good. But when it comes to actual decisions, the Indian Act overrides 90% of all the decision making we make, especially when it comes to land claims, the land issue, certificate of possession, in-house land problems. The Indian Act overrides everything. Decisions made, you can't reverse it. It doesn't give you a chance to use customary law. So that's what I'm trying to say is that customary law sounds good verbally. But the Indian Act, 70% of this reserve is all run by the Indians. So I'm trying to get the playing field even where decision making comes, because you're going to have a hell of a big land base down there, and you're going to have 8 chiefs defending that against our 4 here, and I know for a fact we're going to get outvoted on a lot of issues. So I'm just wondering, you know, can Reserve 59 actually, because it's a recognized Indian reservation, can Reserve 59 actually have 8 chiefs according to their legislation in the Indian?
We don't follow the Indian Act for the composition of council. We used to, but when we enacted our own Akwesasne election law, so the community does have the ability to make a council of 20 if they want, but it's through amendments of the election law. And you know, if you ask that, we've had tried to amend that baby 3 times. Making the council bigger, I'm not sure. It's up to the community. In my mind, sometimes making the council smaller may make more sense, but it's possible. Now, whether or not, you know, the community is prepared to have 10 district chiefs for Cornwall Island and 8 for, you know, 4 for St. Regis, 4 for Stein, you know, I don't know. I mean, my role as Grand Chief is the entire community as a whole, regardless of where you live. But, you know, and we have been facing situations in the past, as you referenced, where, you know, districtism kind of plays a key part. So it's ultimately up to the community.
Well, how did you ever come out with a number of 12 district chiefs?
Well, traditionally, when we were under the Indian Act,
Yeah.
it was a system of how many members you had equal the chief, but it capped out at 12. So it capped out at 12. Yeah, that's how we came.
And that's still laid out that way in the legislation of the Indian.
Yes, but for as far as composition of council and how council members are elected, it's not under the Indian Act, it's under the Akwesasne election.
So under the legislation of the Indian Act, Reserve 59 could easily have 8 chiefs. Because you're allowed 1 chief for every 100 members.
No, you would have to create, you'd have to create a new reserve. Because
It is a recognized Indian reserve, 59.
We'd have to have 2 separate governments, and we're not advocating.
Well, how can we even up the playing field? How can we have a better chance? Because I know we have a gas line coming on the island, and I hear a lot of references to the state side of it. Snide, St. Regis. No, we don't want this gas line in Cornwall Island. That's a decision that we should make, and we don't want to get outvoted. You know what I mean? A lot of people on the island want that gas line.
Well, I think
we don't want to get outvoted. It seems like everything we do.
Well, I think you know, I mean, that conversation is for a governance conversation. It's not related to the Dundee claim per se, but, you know, I mean, we have talked about inter-district voting, right? Which then means that you can vote for somebody in Stein who arguably represent, you know, they will be, you know, where, you know, outside of that. I mean, those sort of things are innovative ways that we can look at, but again, we're having a hard time getting this law amended to fix some simple things.
Well, I hope,
Those are ways that we can look at to balance that, but
yeah.
the message and vision of the Grand Chiefs sets the tone as well, right? I mean, my job is to balance out between, you know, districts and what's better for the entire community. You know, as we make decisions, it's how do we benefit the community at large and, you know, not specifically where you live. Because our people move around all over the place. We have members off the reserve who want to say as well. So, you know, it's really in the governance of the people sitting here to balance that out, you know. Hearing your message about your concerns helps because that brings that to the forefront, and the community hearing those concerns as well.
Yeah, because it's, you know, it's going to be a big area out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're over doubling the size of the reserve. They're going to consider it reserve 15.
Well, although through this, right, you have the ability to buy 18,200 acres of land, not just in the Dundee area, you can buy it in the Cornwall and SDNG as well. So if the community said, you know what, we want to expand 10,000 acres into the Cornwall area and 8,000 into the Dundee area, we can do that, right? I mean, that's how this agreement is worded. It's not split, you know, half and half in Ontario and Quebec, and it's not all in Quebec, all in Ontario.
So you could technically buy property in a Nutfield tract.
That's right, yes. Through this agreement, yes. So it's not specific just to the Dundee area. There's a question here, and then over here.
I think you already mentioned it, just that everybody kind of moves all over the place. I mean, we have kids that are probably, maybe live on the island at some point, you know. And I think we should all have a opportunity to have our voice be heard.
Yeah, it's over here.
I mean, it's not a plan to do, how are you going to, if this gets accepted, how are you taking the money? 160,000 per home just on the Canadian side, you taking the money, how are we supposed to pay land taxes if we don't have the money?
Yeah. So part of the strategy is to put money aside specifically for land purchase and expansion of the community. So if the claim is settled, we'll set aside X amount of dollars to expand the community base. Now these decisions will be done obviously in a consultation with the community and where the priorities are. Like the land value in Dundee is much different than it is in the Cornwall area, right? There's more of an economic opportunity in the Dundee area. There's more of in the Cornwall area. There's more of an agriculture value in the Dundee area, right? So these decisions will not be made out of whim by council. They'll be done in consultation with the community, and it will make sense, right? I mean, getting services out to Dundee is going to be a heck of a lot harder than getting them, you know, in Long Sault or the Nutfield tract area type thing. So those are the things that we'll have to work out with you. But there is a commitment that money will be set aside for the purchase of land to expand it. Go ahead.
What's the process if it gets denied?
So through the agreement itself, it's a defined process. It will happen. It will become Indian Reserve after you go through a certain set of steps. No. Here and then back to the front.
Is there something mentioned like that people who are selling their lands can't jack up their prices and stuff like that?
There's not, but the thing is that because there's two areas of selection, you know, arguably if the prices go 3 times more expensive than Dundee, you know, maybe it's better to buy in Cornwall.
They'll do the same. They'll do the same.
I think less likely in the Cornwall area than it is over there. But the other thing is that we have perpetuity forever. You know, if there's a farm there that's for sale, that's 200 acres, they want $1 million now, you know what? Are they going to continue to carry that on for their family for the next 10 years? Who knows, right? We don't have to buy today. We don't have to buy tomorrow. I mean, and there'll be a lot of planning that has to take place before we start actually purchasing anything. So I think that that's on our side as well. And the fact that, you know, we have the ability to buy in the SDNG Cornwall area and in the area helps us. Because they're not all in the Cornwall area going to jack the prices 3 times the amount because the Mohawks can buy land there. You know, they're more interested in development and things like that. Dundee perhaps a little bit, but we can hold out as long as we want. We've gone this long since the claim since, 1888, without having access. Yes, sir.
MCA purchases from Willie Wires over there in Dundee or in Ontario. Are you guys, MCA gonna resell to Akwesasne at fair price?
Yeah, so.
No families looking to.
So part of the process that we'll have to define is what that's going to look like, right? So if we buy a 100-acre tract of land that's ideally could be partially, development and partially residential, we'll have to work that out. I mean, we're not, I can't, I mean, for the foreseeable future, we're not in the process of buying this land to resell it to our people to make money, right? If anything, we're buying it to expand, to have a presence, to meet the needs of the people. And right now, we do that within our reserve, and we don't do it making money. So it would be the same philosophy. Over here.
Who gets the land after you buy it?
Well, that's very similar to the question she asked. We haven't determined that yet, right? So if we buy 100 acres of land for housing development, we're going to put people on, our people on, right? So we have land now, we build houses on, we put our people on. The same concept will happen.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to ask, I went to a lot of the meetings on all your presentations, I went to a lot of them. And I was wondering, when we first started this, you mentioned that you can buy out the people living there. They're giving you $239 million and you can buy to the people willing to sell. And at that time, it was never brought up that you could have an option of buying in Cornwall or Ontario to expand our reserve. Was that added later, or was that in the first agreement all along?
No, it was through the negotiating process that we were able to roll it. So when this initially started rolling out, it wasn't always in there, but we got it. Part of negotiations.
Because it was never brought up at the meeting.
Well, it's not something that was hidden. It was added in, and in fact, I would view it as an added bonus, right? Because those lands were not taken. Those lands were, we could buy land.
So you added that through your negotiation?
Yes, the Mohawk Council did.
The Mohawk Council
yes.
did, okay, that's fine.
In the back here.
Let's say it gets passed, the referendum goes through, is that the green light for anybody to go buy that land? They
Well,
go with money, like the state side with the Fort Carlton area? They go with money?
What will happen is that if it's approved, somebody has land there, we can't put 10 small lots into the additions to reserve process. It has to be, lumped in together. So we have to determine what that's going to look like. So if we have somebody that has, 5 acres, arguably, our best position would be wait till we have enough of those and then we put it into the process. But in the meantime, you will be responsible to maintain the requirements of taxation and whatever it may be to that municipality. Very similar to what happened in the American side. Yes, in the back here.
Okay, the Dundee land commander, how many acres did you say was?
The land plan that was filed was for just approximately 20,000 acres. And what the settlement offer is to return 18,282 acres. We did buy back part of that original 20,000. So
How much is that usable land? To my understanding, there's a lot of marsh there.
there's a lot of marsh, but the selection area is beyond the Dundee area. If you look into the settlement agreement, Schedule 3 has maps as well as.
So it's all usable land, is that what you're saying?
So there's a lot of areas.
But there's a lot of places they call land, so it's marsh.
Yeah, we can. I'll take the 2 more questions and then go on to the rest. Go ahead.
I'm wondering, I still feel, and I've heard the community members say way back when, why are we buying it back? The government should be buying it back and giving us that, however many dollars. We're going to need that to make roads, water lines and all that. They should be paying for whoever wants the money. Not us, not out of that in the settlement. I don't think that's right. We're giving in to them. And I know there's a lot that feel that way. The other way now you're saying again, well, we'll go back to court. Well, look at what happened with BC today. Did they run and get scared? No, they fought. That's what we gotta start doing. You can't always just say, oh, okay, we can do that. That's what they say.
To settle land claims in Canada, there's three options. One is to do a settlement agreement with Canada, which can have any terms and conditions that are negotiated. At this negotiation, we have not only compensation for the loss of use of those lands, but also an ability to regain reserve lands. Option 2 and 3 is tribunal, which can only award up to $150 million and cannot force any lands to be recognized as reserve lands. And then the third one is federal court, which is the longer game with lawyers arguing over whether or not this entire process is valid. And then federal court, a judge can only award monies. So the three options, and what the police code council was to get control and handling of the lands. This is the only valid option that's available. And right now it's up to the community to review all the terms and conditions and ultimately decide on a referendum in the coming months. So this is the most transparent way to show that. If the community ultimately says no, we still have the tribunal and the federal court systems to go.
The other question I have is, I guess they didn't have our meeting on Pretty Island last week because the building wasn't open. Is there going to be another meeting for us on the island?
Yeah, so that will be the information he's going to share after we take the one last question, and then we'll finish the presentation.
When these lands are returned, are they referred to as the reserve lands, Indian Reserve? Because the lands, when they're returned to the reserve, it's not meant for individuals. It's for the people of that band. And this administration is to administer to make sure that we properly get our share. It's not for certain families, certain individuals. I don't care if you got 2 trinkets more than the next guy. It's fairness amongst all. That's the way the land is supposed to be distributed. Years ago, when they were farmers, if you had a big family, you were permitted to use more land to provide for that family. But as your family shrunk, that land goes back as common land to the people. It's not individually families that's supposed to own this. It's everybody on this band list. That's what you're administrating. So my question is that reserve land?
For the immediate purchase, it would be non-reserve land, and then we have to turn it into reserve land.
So that's the people's land.
That's right. Okay, so let's go through the presentation and maybe more of the questions may be answered.
So when the referendum was called, council passed an MCR, and from the MCR, Leona Benedict has been appointed as a chief referendum officer, and she has proclaimed that online voting shall occur between August 1st to December 7th, and polling stations October 1st to December 7th, my correction. And polling stations will be housed on December 8th, one in each northern district and one in Williamsburg to be announced officially by the owner when we have those places locked down. So yes, there are informational sessions that are scheduled within the regulations. They are to be scheduled, and they have been announced by the owner to be December 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd. September 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd. So again, it's to be able for community members to know the regulations, to know what the question is being asked. Legal counsel will be present, as well as financial advisor as well. Both of those individuals will present to the community, and I believe counsel is also more than welcome to be present for those to hear back from the community's feedback. But the idea of information sessions is to inform community members the ramifications of the settlement agreement and to basically ensure that community members feel comfortable with what is being presented to them and that they can make an informed decision whether to accept or decline the settlement offer.
So I just have a quick question. Could you tell me how many acres are on that bird sanctuary? The bird sanctuary out there, how many acres of the 18,000 is the bird sanctuary? 7,000?
Personally, have it off the top of my head, but there are certain areas within the Dundee that are protected wetlands internationally, and neither Canada nor us can ever say claim to it. It's international law, Ramsar says.
Would you say it's around 7,000 acres?
I don't have the numbers on hand. I won't be able to comment right now. So the referendum, MCA will not enter into a settlement agreement unless it's been approved by the membership of the Mohawk in the referendum vote. There is a threshold to ensure that enough of the community is aware of the process and participate. We're looking at least a minimum of 25% of the membership who are above the age of 18 on the last polling day, which is approximately 1,957 members, to be part and participate, and of that majority voice will ultimately decide whether it is accepted or declined. So all members of Akwesasne under the Akwesasne membership vote, regardless of their place of residence, all membership that are 18 of age on or before December 8th. And to verify one's membership status, please contact the Office of Statistics, and Leona will be publicly giving out the eligible voters list for people to verify that they're present, that they are part of it. And if there's any discrepancies, please contact her, and she will guide you through the process.
Yes.
If we're gonna go through with this, we don't have no plans. There's no plans of, like you said, how many acres you gonna get? How many you gonna get? Well, I want my same share. If you're gonna have everybody fighting on it, how can we fix it so that everybody will, okay, we're getting that land back, and if MCA builds the homes, then each person has a chance to get that home, and not because somebody's got more money than I got. You know what I mean? That it's fair to everybody. Is there anything made or a list of what things should be before we get this crazy money and stuff?
We have a framework that will be rolling out for the next couple months as to what the investment strategies would look like. But as far as the mechanics of land, that hasn't been developed. As far as, what you buy land, what will happen to it. We do have this community comprehensive plan that talks about community expansion. But as far as the process that goes to how we're going to distribute the land to members, or if we will at all, that hasn't been developed. But it is something that, we will have a framework developed for what this will look like.
Before the federal
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, Abram, I brought this up at the meeting before. I don't know if you remember, so probably about 4 meetings prior to this one. I brought it up at the meeting that a lot of people didn't understand what they were voting for. They haven't been at Fraser's Point. They haven't seen that bird sanctuary. So we suggested, why don't you get some buses and take interested people out there and show them exactly what they're dealing with. What land they can buy back, what is marshland, and show them all the points. Fraser Point's got, I don't know how many, what do you call it, cabins out there. There's all different areas, a lot of cabins. The people don't understand, what am I voting for? I'm gonna vote yes or no. They should at least be aware of what they're voting for. You know what I mean? It's just a suggestion. I think that we should dig in and get some money and take some people out there.
how can we take it to referendum if we don't know how we're gonna spend the money when we get it?
Yeah, we will have that rolled out in the next couple of months. A framework of what those, because what we're potentially proposing is that we would have categories of investments of money, like X money to buy land back, X money for community expansion under economic development, X money for culture and language expansion, which we would, through the consultation of the community, identify that this money will do this over the next 10 years, type thing, or the next 50 years, right? In different categories.
That was part of the agreement?
No, that's not part
I
of
was
it.
always told that you never take the first offer, the first offer.
Well,
And if they're gonna offer 248 the first time,
yeah. At this point, they're not going to offer anything else. So the options are, as outlined,
there's
is,
some different things coming from the United Nations that might change that.
Well, I mean-
It just happened.
it's arguably we could wait another 10 years, 20 years. Will the climate change? Perhaps. Will it get better? Will it get worse? I don't know, right? That's something that the community has to weigh into as well. We've heard it with the OPG, that the elders wanted us to settle this so they could see benefits in their lifetime, right? I mean, so people want to see something, sooner than later. Obviously, the people involved in the taking of the Dundee land that have long gone since. But, we continue to grow as a community. More people continue to live off the reserve. We continue to struggle with economic development here. There are years. And do we want to continue to do that for the next foreseeable future? $239 million is a lot, but it's not a lot, right? But it will create opportunities, it will create investment, and it will give us the ability to buy land and turn it back into reserve with less strings than it is now, because we'll have an agreement with the government saying they will turn this land back into reserve. There's nothing now other than a policy that every community in Canada goes by that says they have to make reserves larger. This puts it in writing that they have to. So there's cons and pros to it all, right? I mean, this is something that the community, over the next couple of months, will roll this information out. We want you to make an informed decision. Is it now the time to settle this claim and, proceed with it, or should we not and wait longer, or should we go to court and spend millions of dollars in court to potentially get nothing or less, right? These are it's up to the community. We want you to make informed decisions. We are not we want you to make an informed decision. We have no thing in it one way or the other, except that we have invested, a lot of time and energy to get to where we are now, like many councils before this council. Yes.
Is there a way to freeze the fair market price right now? So if they find out we have all this money, also this $50,000 piece of land, they're going to want $590 for it. So are we going to get the worst of the people that are there?
Yeah. No, there's no way. There's no way. But again, there's two different areas that we can buy in, the Cornwall area and the Dundee area. Are they going to both go up because we have money? Maybe, maybe not, right? And we don't have to buy again tomorrow. We can take $100 million, invest it, make $200 million over the next 10 years, and then buy, twice Dundee back from them. There's a lot of different options that can be looked at.
Am I going to get any money in my pocket?
No. No. So one of the things that has been clear from the community from the beginning, and that's with all of our settlements, is that there will be no per capita distribution. And that's simply because we're a very large community. Take 239 million, divide that by 12,000 people,
Yeah.
you're getting a few, literally, a few bucks in your pocket, and that's it, right? So,
So, there's a lot of question about money, a lot of meetings about it. I attended 3 or 4 of them just in my district. People are coming out and they're asking those questions, what are we going to do with the money? There's a lot of ideas people have, and one of them was saying we don't have to spend it tomorrow when it comes in. The amount coming in, if we invest it or we put it to be invested, we could make it, we estimated approximately 12 million a year. So if we're looking to provide infrastructure to Dundee or to wherever, we're going to need more than what's coming. So just because it says you can buy land, we don't have to go and do it tomorrow, as Grant just mentioned. A smarter way would be investing, because though we're looking at the people here and the people sitting here, we've got 7 generations following you.
But
The market don't crash.
Excuse me?
The market don't crash.
There's options everywhere. There's risks everywhere. But we can't just sit here and run out and spend the money and hoping that the money's gonna come back. We have to logically sit down and figure out how to do that. And that's where we need all of your input. Yes, there's the market could crash. What else do you suggest? Because there are other options, but that's what we're asking for. We're not gonna tell you how to spend it. We're not gonna decide how to spend it. We've been hearing people at meetings talk about what they think, what they would like to see. They wanna see more housing. We know we need more housing. Our population continues to grow, but we need that land base too. So, you know, it's like, how do we do this? We need direction.
Want to finish your presentation and then?
Second to last slide. Please contact Chief Referendum Officer, all council offices, and officers. And yes, we do have an Arrow website that will have all these documents on there as well. We're updating it on a daily basis. So it's ca-arrow.ca. And that will be soon to be linked with the current Akwesasne website as well. And I believe Leona has an announcement to the referendum.
Okay, our referendum polling is going to open up on October 1st at 9 o'clock in the morning. And it will be online voting and door to door. Like we did with the couples property law, we'll have deputy referendum officers going door to door to take your votes. And it will close on December 7th. It'll go for 10 weeks. It'll close on December 7th at 5 p.m. And then the following day, December 8th, we'll open up polling stations for the people who like the ballot, like to, you know, use a ballot, paper ballot. So we'll open up a polling station here in Gowanoga at the rec hall, Jasnaya at the rec hall, and Ganadago at the rec hall. And on the southern portion, we will open up a polling station there, but that place will be determined at a later date. We haven't finalized the place. And voters list will be posted in all districts, plus on the southern portion of the reserve too. And the voters list will be our membership list. And right now we have 7,822 members. That's with 18-year-old, as of December 8th. If you're turning 18, you will be able to vote in this referendum.
My name is Kiri Ransom. I am the Justice Coordinator with the Akwesasne Justice Department. I provide support to Leona as part of coordinating the referendum side of things. I also want to acknowledge Iris LaFrance, who is our admin support in the office. You know, she's really doing a lot to support this entire process. Right now, what we want to highlight with community members today is that we are doing a community call out for our referendum officers. So over on the side table, we do have applications that are available to people. So if you know of anyone that is interested for any of these positions, please pick up applications. They are going to be due next Friday once our office closes at 5 p.m. So you can drop them off in Ganadago at the Akwesasne Justice Department, or if you're from Gowanoga, we will take them at the Akwesasne Court located at CIA 3. And so with these applications, we're looking for deputy referendum officers to help with the door-to-door voting. And what we're looking for are individuals. We're trying to get a broad, diverse group of individuals. We're bringing on 18 officers as part of this. And we will be providing training for everybody who are going to be going door to door. And all of that information is contained in the application. Now, part of filling out these applications, we're just asking that you provide the information. Leona will actually do all of the verification. So there is a request to have membership verification. There is a request for a good standing policy check. And there is a request for a criminal records check for those people who are going door to door. All of those verifications will be run by our office. We're trying to make the application process as easy and as accessible as possible. In addition to that, we're looking for 8 officers the day of to help administer the polling station. They could potentially be the same people, but we're hoping to get a broad, diverse group of individuals. In addition to that, we're looking for 1 deputy referendum officer to be able to help us with processing the information that come in each day and just providing general administrative support to Leona once we start getting moving. There's a lot of coordination that happens behind the scenes. We're tracking where people are going, and we're listening to a lot of the feedback that we've had. The last time that we had done door-to-door voting, we heard a lot of feedback from community of areas that they liked, things they didn't like. One of the things we heard was officers were stopping at their house because they're on the main road of whatever part of the community, and they were visited 8 different times, and they were very upset about that. So we're building in procedures to track to ensure that we're not having people going to the same houses that many times. So we need additional support to help with that. We're also looking at bringing on board 2 Mohawk language interpreters during that door-to-door period. So there are applications for that as well. They will be scheduled through Leona, and they'll work a max of 80 hours from October 1st to December 7th. We're also bringing on board 4 Mohawk language interpreters for the day of the polling station. So there will be a Mohawk language interpreter at each location. The same applies for sign language interpreters. So if you know of anyone with these skill sets, please, by all means, we brought 50 copies of applications on the side, or follow up with Leona in the office and we can make sure that you get an application.
So there is copies of the agreement to the back there. There is a section 3.0 that talks about the use of the money that has some restrictions within it. You will be asked if you allow the Mohawk Council to execute this agreement. So this entire document is what you'll be voting on. The highlights of what you gave today with the compensation, the ability to buy land back are the main elements. This is the actual agreement itself that will be signed upon your approval. Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
Just one other minor item to add. I was gently reminded to ensure that part of the information sessions and the ongoing discussion sessions Arrow will be hosting is to hear community feedback and to have community members become well informed. So participation in those meetings is greatly appreciated, and it will always ensure that the community and council and technical teams are all on the same page when things are brought up.
Can I request to have those questions asked at this meeting?
Which questions is that?
When you vote? 2 questions, 3 questions?
Say that again? Can you request
2
one?
questions, right?
Yeah.
Yes or no? What's the questions you're going to be answering?
It's in the agreement.
She can read the question.
I can read the question.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. The question on the ballot will be, as a voter of the Mohawks of Akwesasne, do you, A, approve the terms and conditions of the Jigalistis Dundee Claim Settlement Agreement initialed by the negotiators for the Mohawks of Akwesasne in Canada, which settles and releases the Jigalistis Dundee claim? And B, authorize and direct the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne to execute all documents and do everything necessary to give effect to the Jigalistis Dundee Claims Settlement Agreement.
So that's the question on the ballot. Yes, in the back.
Is there a deadline when this has to be answered by the two candidates?
Well, we've set the referendum date because there needs to be a referendum to accept the agreement. So that essentially would be the deadline, the end of the referendum period. The offer has been made in 2015.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked you don't have a plan for the money since 2015. There's no plan.
No, that's been here, that's been heard loud and clear, and we will take that back and begin that process of rolling that out.
Can we push the referendum back? Do we have a plan?
At this point, no, because it's been followed.
Does it scare anybody else? So
So we haven't worked on the land process yet. we currently have land now, we build homes and, rent them out or rent it own to them. At the end of the day, it comes yours. So that process most likely will continue in some of these lands. If members want to buy land and get it into reserve, that's completely up to them as well. That process will happen. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. There are information meetings coming up. We have heard what you have to say. We'll take that back. There are a number of information meetings happening in September. The outline of the referendum has been outlined as well. Any of the members of our technical team are here to answer your questions later after the meeting. But I do want to thank you very much for providing that for us. So thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next presentation. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, we've been going through an orientation session with our council. Council had authorized that an orientation process take place, as well as wanted to provide part of that resolution passed was that presentation to be done to the community. So Kelsey Francis is here. She is our government manager for our department. She will provide an update on the orientation that has happened in September.
My name is Chelsea Francis. I'm the Government Support Manager. As Grand Chief mentioned, I'm here to talk to you about and update you on the council orientation that took place these last few weeks. Seems like a year. So I just wanted to go over and review the 2018 council orientation. And I do want to make the note as well that this has been the first formalized council orientation program. So in a sense, this was the inaugural real that we've had such a finalized and formal orientation program for all of council. So just as a quick update and overview, I will go back in time a little bit to talk about the governance committee. So the governance committee was established by MCA 2016-2017, number 227. And this group was comprised of several members. The Grand Chief, April Benedict, Executive Director, Jordan Lopez, myself, the Government Support Manager, the Director of Justice, Joyce Kings, and Nation Building Manager, Peter Gallo. We also included 3 district chiefs as ex officio members, and they were identified as Chief Connie Mazur, Chief Dennis Shosi, and Chief Steve Thomas. So we have worked as a team to really develop and highlight the areas of importance to council. When they first come into office, we asked the question, what do you know now as current council members, what do you know now that you wish you had known when you first came into council? Somebody who came into council, never being in politics before, never being a formal leader before, being elected into a community government. So we wanted to know exactly what were some of the things that you know now as a seasoned council member that you wish you had known in the meeting. So we asked that question, and some of the responses that we received back from our working cast group became the basis of this orientation program. So later on, June 25th, 2017, Council accepted an NCR that mandated all council elects to attend and participate in the orientation to ensure a consistent training was given to all newly elected and returning council members. So the reason we wanted to do that was because we needed to ensure that all of the council members, whether they be returning or whether be newly elected council members, had a formal training and all received the same information at the same time. So why this is important is because when you have a council member that you've elected into that position, you want to make sure that they know what their role is, they know what their job is, and they know how to work. They know how to do the job. So the program was designed to assist the new council in learning and understanding their new roles as elected council members, guide them through the processes they have to follow, and teach them the skills and knowledge they need to effectively lead our community. So I've seen this as a highly effective way of ensuring that our council members are attending these sessions. So that's what I've seen. Just really quickly, one of the first things that we provided council with was a brief introduction to the Mohawk Fair. Mohawk government is the administrative portion of We provide them with the technical assistance that they need to do their job, and we are their administrative support. So we wanted to make sure that first and foremost, they understood what our role was in their success. We wanted to make sure that they knew who we are, what we do, and how we will support them in their new roles. So the council orientation, the governance committee again was established by the MCR number 227 and the MCR 2018-2019 launched number 105, and I made it all council to attend the three sessions. So the way we organized this orientation was we divided it into two phases. So the orientation framework, you can see here, we really discussed in depth exactly what topics and what areas of need were required for council to understand their role. So we broke it down into these two phases. The first phase is all about their roles, their responsibilities, the history of Akwesasne, who we are as a people and as a community, and how we've developed and evolved into where we are today. So the important things that they needed to understand were the history of Akwesasne, the governance, how we function, their roles and their responsibilities, the financial literacy, the political protocols that they'll be required to adhere to, their leadership development, as well as different protocols in terms of internal workings as well as external. The second phase was all about MCA. So this was the organizational structure, this was the MCA departments, the operations, their portfolios, legislation that we have to follow, MCR submission process, which is a key administrative process to their position, as well as different internal processes, mostly pertaining to Mohawk government and how council functions with us. So on July 13th, we had a beautiful ceremony in the hot weather for the swearing-in ceremony. This was sort of step one into the orientation process. The schedule of sessions, we created a fairly intensive program for council. The way we organized this was to ensure we didn't get any burnout in the beginning. Previously, there had been sessions that were held 3 weeks, all day after day after day after day, sitting in one room, which is really intensive and it's very hard for information to be retained. So we used a model that was based off of college courses. We tried to get it to 2 days a week, where we would only sit in specific rooms wherever it was organized and coordinated to for half a day. So 4-hour sessions, 3-hour sessions, 2 days a week. We shot for Tuesdays and Fridays, and we came up with this schedule. So there were some days when we did have to do full days, 2 days in a row. I think the first week of council being in office was the most intensive. That is because we had to schedule 2 different consultants to come in to give presentations on governance as well as financial literacy. So we'll talk a little bit more about these later on, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me at the end. So in total, we have had 22 sessions that were developed and designed for council during the orientation program. So each of these sessions were tailored specifically to one of the items that were identified in the framework that we had put together as the governance committee. So we wanted to make sure that these sessions were filled with information that were absolutely pertinent and necessary for council to know right at the get-go. So the next slide. So expectations. These are the expectations that we gave to council as Mohawk government, so that they knew what they were into, essentially. So we let them know that they were going to be in class Tuesdays and Fridays mornings. The locations will vary. The reason for this is because we wanted to make sure that council was able to introduce themselves to all of the buildings and areas that council is involved with. So the recreation centers, the different meeting rooms within the MCA organization, those were all included. Mohawk government staff, the office space that we'll be working from, materials and supplies, the Surface Pros. We recently transitioned from iPads to Surface Pros, which allow a lot more flexibility in how they work and where they work, their cell phones, and as well as their key fob to get in and out. So starting off, after we did 4 days of intensive studies with governance and financial literacy, we took a tour of Akwesasne. So why did we do this? The purpose was to reintroduce the council members to their community. A lot of times when you're living in the community, you go to maybe 3 major places. You go to work, you go to home, and you go to maybe your family member's home. This was a way for us to show council, new council, what their community has inside of it, who we are as a people, where we live, all of the different areas that you wouldn't normally travel to on a day-to-day basis. As well, we've also started to bring in different ministers into the community so that they can see who we are, how we live, and why we fight for what we fight for in terms of policies and in terms of legislation, as well as finances and funding. So that was the first part, the first leg. The next, I'm only using pictures that we were able to capture. So the organizational structure took place on Octane Island on August 9th. This was an information from portfolios and departments on the financial needs that council will be working to lobby for, as well as their political needs. So prior to this, during the development process of the orientation, we sent out one-page briefing notes to all of the departments and the portfolio owners, and we asked them to provide us with a very high level of pertinent information that council needed to know on what they were to work on in the next 3 years of their term. So the directors were very, very good at doing this, and they provided, some of them have provided to us upwards of 6 pages of information. But that just comes with the territory of the portfolio and the department. So what they did was they gave us this information. We provided a binder to all of them where all of this information is going to be stored, and they can use the reference whenever they're out traveling and lobbying for their portfolio. So that was this day. Then we had on August 13th the first council meeting to welcome in their term of 2018 to 2021. As well as we had a presentation from Andy, and they gave a really great presentation. They weren't able to meet us on Octane Island for Organizational Structure Day, so they gave a presentation at that meeting. Next, we did a tour of 7 weeks. So this was to introduce council to a business, a local business that's in development right now within the community, learn a little bit more about what it is that they're going through, as well as have some preliminary discussions on incoming recreational cannabis legalization. So we also had a government operations discussion. So this is what I mentioned in the beginning, so who, what, where, why. We had a BTS presentation on the 24th. They were also on to present on Octane Island. So they had an opportunity to give us that information at this time. So prior to council selecting their portfolios, about 2 weeks before we had their official selections, we asked them to do a preliminary selection. So the purpose of that was to help council fine-tune exactly what their passions and what their priorities were. So this was a really interesting process because this is the first time that we've done this, the first time that we've asked council to do this. And what we found was that prior to all of the presentations by the portfolios and by the departments, most of our council members had 4 or 5 interests in areas that they really wanted to be a part of. By the end of this, so you'll see here that, we have a long list of portfolios. We have quite a few committees, as well as some other groups that are council driven. So during the preliminary selection process, council members were able to think a little bit more about what their passions really were. After we have the presentation from all of the directors and the portfolios, I seen a change anyways in how council felt about what their passions truly were. So that was the preliminary selection process. Then we have portfolio selection. So it was more like a month apart, but this really gave them a chance to think and fine-tune their thoughts. So then we have portfolio selections. So that kind of just, you know, opened it up a little bit more and gave us a little more opportunity to really have these discussions. We did a roundtable method, and it seemed to work out fairly well, I'd say. Thank you, Max. That was rock, paper, scissors contest. And so that, you know, completed our orientation process. It was, I thought it was fun. If I can ask any of the council members to share some of their experiences. No, somebody jump in. Oh, sure.
Yeah, I have a question. Where does that political protocol agreement, where does that come in?
So, yeah, the political protocol agreement will actually come into play a little bit later. We had originally sent out a call out for interested community members to sit on this working task group so that we could further develop that agreement. Unfortunately, we only received one applicant. So another call out will be sent out very soon. Not sure how soon, but it will be sent out again because we are looking to get that moving.
Are you talking political protocol or political service agreement? She's talking service agreement, but she said protocol.
What was it called?
Political service agreement, I think is the one that you're referencing, which had to do with the working conditions of council.
Of the council, right?
Yes.
So nothing has changed from before. What she's saying is that they'll continue to look at changing it once we get a committee.
And you have a follow-up for that?
Yes.
All right, any other questions on that presentation? Okay, well, thank you very much, Chelsea, for that update and presentation on the orientation schedule for our council. All right, so we're going to move along now. At this point, we'll turn to business from the floor. Are there any items that any members would like? Yes?
I got a petition.
Okay. What is it?
Yes.
A petition?
No, I'm not supposed to open it.
What's the petition for?
Removal.
Only the
Well, you didn't tell me what those petitions for. Okay, so I've received a petition from a member of the community. So according to the Akwesasne election law, in which speaks to petitions received under 16.2, I'm receiving this petition at a community meeting. So according to the law, or the Akwesasne election law under 16.3, any petition pursuant to 16.2 shall be examined by the CEO and verified that each signature on a petition is that an eligible voter. 16.4, should the verification in 16.3 result in less than the number of names required for the purpose of section 16.6.2, the petition shall be considered null and void. 16.5, should the verification process in 16.3 above establish that the minimum number of eligible voters for the section of 16.2 who have signed the petition, the result shall be delivered at the newly convened general meeting of the council. Council shall declare that the member removed and a by-election shall occur for that position. So I am receiving this petition for the record. It will be turned over and that process will be followed. And we will make those announcements at the next general meeting of next month according to the. All right?
Did he resign or is that just a rumor?
No, this is what I've been told is just a petition under the Akwesasne election law for the removal of a chief. Yes.
But he doesn't sit as a chief now, right?
Well, no, so according to the law, the member will, if this petition is valid, the position is not vacated until those results are read at the next general meeting. So we have one month, the CEO will verify it and then we report it back to the next general meeting.
In the meantime, he sits as chief.
Yes.
I don't think that's right at all.
Well, the law does not say anything otherwise. That's the process in which this petition is being received under. It has to be verified.
Well, I don't think he takes a month.
It says that we'll report it back at the next general meeting. The general meetings occur every month. That's what the law says, is general meeting.
And next general meeting,
Yeah.
boy, oh boy, do we need to work on this law or what?
Again, I mentioned earlier, we've been trying to amend this law for quite some time. This may be an area that needs to be looked at.
Sure does.
Okay, so that has been accepted for the record. Is there any other items that members wish to discuss with council this evening? Yes, in the back, and then we'll go over to you.
Yeah, I'm having an issue with your Facebook, your page, your, well, you know, your Mohawk Council about the Facebook. At first, I used to be able to click in Mohawk Akwesasne Facebook, so, you know, so I could find out what's going on in the community and what's what, and the meetings and all that. And what will happen is that when you first click on there, you can see the whole, you know, the whole picture. And then all of a sudden that Facebook thing slides up and half the page is missing. You know, so then I used to be able to go down and it would say, you know, not now or whatever, and then you'd be able to see the full page. Now I can't do that. It seems like Facebook is taking up the whole page of the page, so you can't read anything online anymore. So I was wondering, how come we've got our own computer department? Why do we have to depend on Facebook to be giving us this community information? Why isn't our computer department, you know, made some kind of software, not software, but still, why bother using Facebook?
So, we can look into specifically why you can't see that information, but what I can say is that all the information that is shared on the Facebook page is also shared on the web page as well, in a link that has everything that we post, but it doesn't have photos, it's a link to the information. As well, we do have an email newsletter that we now have go out once a week, and all of the information that is on the Facebook page is also on that email list as well. So,
people that aren't, you know, computer literate like that, why don't you make some kind of announcement and say this is where you can get, you know,
and we do, so a lot of that information does go into the monthly newsletter as well. But what we can do is we can provide an information pamphlet to the community, an informational announcement as to where you can find different venues to use to get this information.
Okay,
because
also,
Facebook is not.
being filmed, is that for the outside community as well?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah. Because right now we haven't got the technology to keep it for the members only. But at the same time, everything discussed here is not state secret, it's for the members as well. Anything that's sensitive, i.e. some of the land claims or discussions, is the sound is muted out. Otherwise, it's information that we're providing to the members that's not secret. We are very sensitive on what information we allow the audio to happen.
Okay, and on those lines, this is my second question. I heard that State and Snyder will be getting high optical, whatever it is, and we're not going to be getting that because Quebec agreed to some funding, and so the island is not going to be getting this high-speed internet. Is that correct?
No. So right now, we did apply to put fiber to all of the community. We were approved by the federal government, approved by Quebec. The project's about 13 million, I think it is, $13 million for all of the community, each district. One of the conditions is they wanted Ontario to contribute to the project as well. No final decision has been made, so we're trying to get Ontario to contribute this money so we can do it all of the community. As far as just the Quebec region getting it, that's not happening right now. But we're also in conversations with Bell to expand onto Cornwall Island. So we do know that they've been putting fiber to the home in Cornwall. We want to be able to get on Cornwall Island as well. So no, that question there is that no decision has been made on.
Why are we not expanding from the American side on Mohawk networks and fiber optics over there?
Because that project, that's $13 million, that's actually where that fee would come from, is from Mohawk Network. So we don't have $13 million right now to expand that into our community. We're hoping to get these grants approved, and the fiber will come from Mohawk Networks.
And that's who's going to carry the service too?
It's an open network, so it will be Mohawk Networks or any other one that the community member wants to buy. That's available.
Because Bell's the worst at service. I haven't used Bell in 20 years.
Yeah.
I got rid of them. They're way too expensive and they throttle their service. I switched to Tech Savvy 15 years ago and I haven't had a problem since. It's way faster.
Well, it's consumer choice as well, but it's accessibility as well. Over here, this question?
Yes, I represent my district elders here on the island, well, for the three elders, all the elders on the council. And we wanted to know, we were putting a request for an increase on our fuel allowance. It hasn't been looked at in 20 years. And since the tribe is giving their elders over there $200 a month, we wanted to ask that at least our fuel increase.
And that's the annual $600 that goes to the elders and $400 to the homes. You're asking on behalf of the elders for the $600 to be increased? Okay. Okay, we will note that and we will report that back. Are there any other issues that you want? Yes.
Again, tonight there, when I pulled in the driveway there, looked to see if there was a noise generator. And when they had Dundee Land Claim meeting, even though they didn't have it, then there was no sign. Because I was up and down the road all day that day. And I don't sit and listen to CKON. Sometimes I don't have time to read. So it'd be nice if there was a sign that we're having a meeting, then let us see it there.
Yeah. Okay. No, we
Maybe
do.
we'll have more people.
We do have the signs, they're just not getting to the road. So we will undertake to make sure they get out to the road in the morning. Yes.
Yeah. The helmet on the gas line that we're supposed to get in. When are you gonna have your focus meeting on that?
Yeah, so probably within the next 30 days, we'll set the dates for the information to flow with respect to the pipeline potential expansion.
Are you gonna have people, Ingram, from Embry?
The first go around, no. We will have people that we've hired to assist with the rolling out of the information. Enbridge will come in a little bit later on. Because one of the things that we've heard thus far is community didn't want Enbridge providing that information at first because it seems like they're selling the product, right? So we brought somebody in that understands the gas industry, that can help educate the community, and then we'll bring in Enbridge.
Within the next 30 days?
Within the next 30 days, we'll have the date set, and we'll start that process rolling.
Another thing, Ingram, they're changing all them posts from the border up to the over here for water. Putting all new telephone posts. Are they gonna continue, or is that when they're gonna stop?
I'll look to Chief Thompson again to follow that file.
Chief Thompson,
Yeah, closer.
Yeah, we're talking with them right now. The service that's coming in is only going down to the front of 7 Leaves.
Is that because of the 7 Leaves?
Yes, and they're going to be pulling the wire from the bridge, this junction box that's located at the end of the bridge. But that pulling of that wire is also going to give Kawanoga a secondary power supply. So if something were to happen wherever Jocko lives with the power coming in there, this one will kick on and keep giving us power.
The main purpose of it is to furnish that plant, right?
Yes, it's a 3-phase wire coming in, and any other businesses that were to arise in that area will have access to a 3-phase wire system coming at their cost.
Yes.
And they're paying for it.
Right here in the front?
Yeah, no, that, marijuana store, needs or something. Can anybody come in and just open up a shop, there's no license, no nothing?
So we do know that the store that's located here has communicated with us. You can sell hemp products, that's what they're selling right now. Hemp is a byproduct of cannabis. I'm not a specialist.
Is it oil or cigarettes?
So in this case, it's oil, yeah. So right now, that's what they're selling, which is legal to sell it anywhere. But we suspect that once the legislation comes in place in Canada, which is in October, that they may look to convert. So we are actually having a session next week with the council to look at some of the options of setting an interim regulation, potentially, for our community to get ahead of this. Because October 17th is coming really quick. And and we're very conscious of that. Yeah, you hear me? I don't know who the owners are. I don't. We'd have to verify that they are, but we can find them. In the back?
Is the legislation that you're going to be putting in going to be across the board with all the districts? Do I understand that? Like, Ontario have different ideas about their...
Yeah. So we're looking to put in potentially interim for now, because the law is coming into effect really fast in Canada in a couple of months. And then initiate the law banking process that will be more comprehensive for the product. But the law will apply regardless in Ontario or Quebec.
But we can do our own thinking on that, though, can't we? Can we do our own?
Yeah, that's what we're going to do, yes.
You know how you guys got the liquor law for, I think so, would you guys do something like that for marijuana too?
The ban, like the
Yeah, the
ban?
ban.
We potentially could, but
would you guys let them be able to sell like full-blown marijuana out of there when it gets passed? When it does?
Well, we're going to initiate the law enactment process, which will have a community engagement process in it. But we have done a pre-survey that has indicated that the community wants to have regulations in this sort of stuff, and not an all-out ban.
Say if you guys do let them sell marijuana with THC in it, because I want to open up a liquor store. No, in all seriousness.
It's honestly,
it's mind altering one way or another.
It's one thing at a time. The problem is that we can only amend and enact so many laws reasonably within a year.
Yeah.
And that is not, unfortunately, a priority at this time, right? But, I mean, these sort of things go in hand with business development as well. And, we're not there. But it comes up every now and then, right? Somebody wants to open a fine dining shop here or, generally around that, fine dining restaurants or just a restaurant, right? If people want to have a drink, but can't, right?
Yeah.
So it hinders business, but it's not on our priority list. Yes, in the back.
Who did you vote for when the Assembly of First Nations thing? Who did you vote for and why?
Council had a discussion about this. There was a strong indication that they wanted to support a woman. So we supported Catherine Whitecloud in the first ballot, and she lost in the first ballot. And then we supported the Sheila North after that.
Okay, can I bring an update?
Yeah, just put she had her hand first.
I was just wondering why, when we had that vote to try to change election law, and so little amount of people that came out of that. Well, I'm just reading here, section 18(1), subject to the following provisions contained in this section. This election law may be amended on the development of community competition needed after A decision or recommendation by election board, or B, motion made by one of the two. So why didn't we put that one?
That starts the process, and then it goes down the line. So in order to start the process is a decision of the appeal board, a motion, or a petition. And then you still have to go through the process described. Pardon? Yeah, you start it, yeah. So there was no way of getting around what we've done. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I just want to update the council on, I know you're all familiar with the White Pine Healing Hut, and you know I've been working on this treatment center, this drug and alcohol treatment center. Well, anyway, Abram was good enough to set up an appointment with 3 representatives from ISC, Indigenous Service Canada. They came to the lodge. We had a big discussion on, going forward, what we need. And I know it's been brought up at the meeting. Dave, why is it taking you so long? I thought you'd be up and running now. But you have to understand that this is a big job trying to get a treatment center going. They sent me a page and a half of all the guidelines that I should maybe look at. That's probably not all of it. They want leadership, governance, legal entity information, treatment center, policies, procedures. I have to do all the manuals, I have to do everything. Just like setting up the council with all your resources and everything. So it's a big job. I'm moving forward, I'm slowly getting there on a shoestring budget. You know, it's all grant-driven right now. I don't have any commitment, long-term commitment, as far as servicing the clients coming in. So right now, I'm going forward. It's been a battle. I'm still fighting for it. But I could really use all of your support. Not just some of your support. I need all of your support to help us on this. So, you know, in the future, I think what we're going to need to do is arm length away. We're probably hoping that I could get a resolution from the council to say that you're in favor of this project and collaborate with the White Pine Healing Rock staff so that we can work together and try to get this. It's a health issue and see if we can get it done. All right, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'd like to add to that, and I feel the way he's trying to start a place, because of this marijuana coming on, we're gonna have a lot of people sick. They're gonna go from that to this, that. Look at their dog falling on the sidewalks. That's gonna happen here, because once that gets in your head, from what I understand, you don't know what you're doing. So my fear is we're gonna have a lot of young people getting sick and need help. And we can't wait till they come.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I have a couple of formalities to do before we close the meeting, so I have to read the resolution here that says we accept the meeting, accept and approve the general meeting minutes of May 24th. But I have moved by Joel, second by Julie. Discussion? Question has been called. All those in favor of the resolution? Is there any against the resolution? None against the resolution. All right, so I want to thank all of you for coming out to this evening's general meeting. Our next general meeting will be on September 27th at the Canonical Recreation Center. And the district meetings are also September 10th at Snyder, September 10th for Gawanoga, and September 17th for Gananoga. On behalf of council, thank you very much for attending this evening. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
Chief, before you adjourn, I have since Leona Benedict is here, can you hand over the petition to Leona and public before you adjourn, please?
Thank you, Julie.
There, Leona. All right. See you in a month. All right.
Now I'll motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much.